Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to another edition of the Pewter Report podcast presented by Briar-Greaves Insurance. Protecting your assets starts with the company that you can count on. Homeowners, auto, flood, boat, and business insurance. Work with an independent agency you can trust. That's Briar-Greaves. Visit them on the web at briargreavesinsurance.com or give them a call at 813-876-4166. Today's topic, bold Bucs takes for 2025. And I'm Scott Reynolds. I'm not Matt Matera. If you're listening and you're thinking, wait a minute, this isn't a Matt Matera intro. It's a Scott Reynolds intro because Matt Matera is off today. I am back. And alongside me today is good friend of the program, and someone who knows the Buccaneers and has been covering this team for an awfully long time. That means he's old like me. JP Peterson from the JP Peterson Show joins me.
What's up, Scotty? JP? I'm good. You want me to give you my best Matt Matera?
Yes, let's do it.
Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Pewter Report podcast.
That's good. That. That's really good. Yeah. Don't forget the Briar-Greaves intro. Also, listen, Briar-Greaves Insurance, if you need any type of insurance, they're the place to go here at Pewter Report. Don't just take my word for it. Jason Light also uses Briar-Greaves, so we're going to get Briar-Greaves plug there.
Great endorsement there. Well done.
Yeah, that was a voluntary endorsement too. He just said that on the Pewter Report podcast. We had him on a couple of weeks ago.
Don't you love when your guests come on and like bump your advertisers? It's like I didn't even tell them to do that. I swear, unprompted.
Exactly. Well, this is fun. I was on JP's podcast earlier today, and we had so much fun. We're going to do this one for a whole hour now.
The fans on Twitter went nuts and said, "We got to have more. We got to have more.
We need more JP and Scott." So here we are. We're giving the people what? Yeah. I was in his low country pirate says I was on Jay Retro show as well. I've been making the rounds since I got back from Georgia, folks. But the cool thing is you got me and JP for a whole hour. We're going to talk about some awesome bold Bucs takes. And I asked JP for a Bucs bold take. He gave me like 4, which was awesome. So I love that you're not afraid to give your opinion. You're not shy about your opinions like myself. I think that's why we get along so well together. We tell it like it is.
And I don't once have to mention the name Stu Sternberg on this entire podcast.
That's right.
Which is awesome.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
We don't talk baseball here unless Bailey Adams is on. Then he wants to, but it's a football podcast.
Yes.
Yep. Here's Nathan Elliott doing the intro too. Welcome, Pewter Report readers, listeners, and viewers to the Pewter Report podcast brought to you by the folks.
Readers, listeners, and viewers to the Pioneer part of.
Well, I'll tell you
Where's Matty from? Is he a New Englander?
What's that?
Is Matt Matera a New Englander?
No, he's from New York.
Okay, yeah.
Well, Massapequa, I think that's where he's from. Yeah, he's from New York.
Got that northeastern accent.
Yeah, he first told me what a bodega was. I had no idea what a bodega was.
Bodega, I know, right?
And then it became bodega.
Yeah. It's an all-you-can-eat restaurant. That's what bodega is, isn't it? That's what it's always been in mind.
No, a bodega is like a convenience store.
I know, but remember that restaurant Bodega? Wasn't there a bodega that was like all-you-can-eat country kitchen, one of those places? Maybe.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, bodega. Yeah.
Possibly. I'm not going to say.
Any people out there remember Bodega? Yeah, it's like a what are they? What's the name of that all-you-can-eat? I forget. Anyway.
Like Golden Corral?
Golden Corral, yeah.
Like them? Okay. All right.
Yeah, one of those Bodega.
Well,
anyway,
we're going to be talking some Buckdega today. We've got Buccaneer talk as usual here on the Pewter Report podcast and some bold takes. Now, this is kind of interesting because we just did this roundtable topic and we thought it was so cool that we were just going to do a podcast about it as well. And it's great too that it's not Matt and I because we have even more bold takes from you as our guest today, JP.
Of course.
But one of the things that I thought about, because I could have gone a lot of different directions, and I'm kind of a big, Yaya Diaby fan. I'm a fan of him as a person, and we're not supposed to have favorites on the team, but he's one of my favorites. Friend of the program.
Yaya Diaby.
I just like Yaya. I'm a believer. I'm buying stock in Yaya. And so I was going to say, well, Yaya is going to lead the team in sacks. I kind of think he's going to get overlooked with Hassan Reddick and Kalijah Kancey. And, they're going to funnel a lot of sacks his way. So I thought about that. But then I've already talked a lot about Yaya. So I wanted to go in a different direction. And I wanted to go in a direction that maybe if I just say this, I can speak it into existence, JP. I actually think the Bucs are going to double their interception total this year. And that's not a Herculean feat considering they only had 7 last year.
I know.
Right. So it's not like the highest mountain to climb. So can they get 14? Yeah. And you know what? I think if you go back to during the Bucs Super Bowl season under Todd Bowles when he was the defensive coordinator, they had 15 interceptions from the Gravediggers secondary. And, I think that's a reasonable number.
Yes.
And so this is my argument. I'll throw it out there and I'll get your opinion about it. Right. We know Jamel Dean, if he gets the interception, it's going to be 1. Okay, there's 1 on the board, right? But what I do like about this team is you got Zion McCollum, who's in a contract year. And I really feel like he's kind of feeling himself this year. I think he feels confident. He's got a full year as a starter under his belt. He's playing that left side exclusively now. And I just feel like this is the year where he's going to blow up. Maybe not to the degree that Winfield did in his contract year, but I think he's going to have his best statistical season. So pencil him in for maybe 3. Okay. He had 2 last year. I think 3 is reasonable.
I'm going 4. I'm with you on this. Yes.
Okay. Antoine Winfield Jr. has been making plays since his rookie season. There he is as a rookie, picking off, Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Winfield's going to be back. And, he's not an interception machine. He's a big play machine with sacks, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, all that. But I think 3 is a reasonable number for him as well.
I was going to say 3. I'm with you on 3. Okay.
All right. Tyke Smith, I think, is right there with another 3, right? I think we're kind of piecemealing this thing together, right? Then you throw in Servassier Dennis, who all he does is pick off passes in practice. Well, 1 or 2 of those is bound to happen during a game.
2.
So Servassier gets a couple. Old man Levante gets an interception as well. And then I think the rookies, Benjamin Morrison and Jacob Parrish. I think they combine for like around 3 or so. So you cobble it all together.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I think you get to 14 and maybe more, hopefully more. But I think you can make the argument that 14 should be the number that this team has. Now, will the ball bounce the Bucs way a lot as it has in certain years and they get, upwards of 16, 18? It could, but I think at the ceiling, because of the tighter coverage they're expected to play this year, they've added some more ball hawks in there. Winfield wants a bounce back year, right? I mean, he feels bad about taking all the money, getting hurt, and not being that guy that he usually is last year.
Right.
McCollum's in a contract year. Tyke Smith is going to go from 75% playing time to 100% playing time, going from nickel to strong safety. I think that's doable, JP.
I think your numbers are spot on. I mean, you were spouting them out. I was thinking in my head, what's he going to say? And I almost to a man agreed with you, every one of them.
Okay.
I think it's in pass rush, man. Pass rush produces interceptions, or at least what should be interceptions. And we all agree. I'll bet you Reddick gets more than Yaya, but they're both going to be in double digits, and that's what you need off the edge. I'm bullish on this defense just being so much better from a pass defense. I think it was from the moment they lost to Washington. Yeah. The number one focus on this team in terms of improvement was pass defense. Yeah. And I think they've done as much as they possibly could, really. Yeah. With the exception of maybe going out and getting a high price corner, which I don't think it's worth it in this market, certainly. I think they did what was best, draft a couple of really good ones, they got great value on both of these kids that they picked up in the draft. So, and ball hawks, and that's what they need. And plus their total was so freaking low. It's just got to regress to the mean. It just has to. It just has to.
I agree. I think it has to. All right. So the other, well, I'll just get on the list here. The second Pewter Report roundtable entry was Matt Materas, and This was kind of bold. This was kind of lofty as well.
Mm-hmm.
Bucky Irving is going to be a top 3 running back in the league and will make the Pro Bowl. Now that's saying a lot, especially in the NFC where you've got Saquon Barkley, you've got Jahmyr Gibbs, you've got Bijan Robinson, you got Josh Jacobs. I mean, just those names alone will be challenging to beat out for a Pro Bowl spot. But this is just one of those positions, JP, as a running back. It's like, if you get the yards and you score the touchdowns, you're going to the Pro Bowl, right?
Right.
And there's something about, maybe it's the name Bucky, right? Bucky with the Bucs. Maybe it's the fact he played at Oregon. You know, he kind of came into the league with a little bit of a household name. Maybe it's the Warwick Dunn-like size that he has. He's kind of the underdog just based on his stature. There's something about Bucky that I think that if he just produces that caliber of numbers, and whether it's 1,500 rushing yards, 1,400, 1,600, whatever it is.
Top 3 rushing. Is that what you're saying?
That's what Matt Matera says.
In the NFL or NFC?
I think in the NFL is what he's saying. He'll be a top 3 runner in the NFC, and he'll make the Pro Bowl, which means he'll be a top 3 running back in the
well,
NFC.
if you look at the numbers, okay, in terms of yards per carry.
Yeah.
Okay. This kind of.
I mean, he's going up against the likes of Derrick Henry too, right, from Baltimore, right, in the AFC. So it's not just the NFC guys, but the NFC guys are pretty stacked. Gibbs, Barkley.
He's got a better per yard per carry average than Bijan Robinson.
Yep.
Than Jonathan Taylor, who was 4th. Bijan was 3rd in yards. Jonathan was 4th. Josh Jacobs was 6th. These are all the guys that were ahead of him. Kyron, these guys got more carries, and Bucky's going to get more carries this year.
Yeah.
So more than Kyron. So per rush, I think he was 3rd of the major, 4th in the league, just behind Jahmyr Gibbs at 5.6. So it was Barkley at 5.8, or Henry at 5.9, Barkley. So yeah, he's right there per rush, and I think he'll be better. And I think he'll get more carries.
Right? Yeah.
So yeah, and I think some of these guys, I think Jonathan Taylor is going to regress.
Yeah.
I think Josh Jacobs might regress a little bit. So some of these guys, I mean, even Derrick Henry, is Derrick Henry going to put up another 1,900 yards? I mean, he's getting a little long in the tooth.
Yeah.
And Saquon took a lot of beatings last year. Both of those guys, 325, 345 carries. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So for them to do it back to back is asking a lot to stay healthy for 16 games. So 16, 17 games. So yeah, I think that's very doable. Now, you and I might disagree on this. I said he'll probably get more carries. How many carries a game do you want Bucky to get? I'd rather see him in the 17 to 23 touch range.
Yeah.
With the amount of weapons that we have outside pass catchers, I just don't think it's wise to just, hey, let's give him 25 carries and 7 touches in the passing game. It's just a lot of hits for him, because I'd like to see him get to a second contract and be, very productive in his career. Otherwise, I mean, the Bucs may say, we're just going to use him up for 4 years or whatever, because that's what most people do with running backs. But I don't know. I want to see him be more productive, and I want to see him productive at the end of the season more than anything, because he's got to be healthy in the playoffs for this team to do anything. So I think we do got to manage it a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. And looking at what he did last year, and keep in mind that he really didn't kind of emerge as that featured guy until really December 1st at Carolina, right? That's where he was the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, a season high, career high, 25 carries, 152 yards, and a touchdown. Mm-hmm. And he even got hurt in that game, returning a kick right before halftime, playing with the bum hip in the second half, and still kind of went wild there. Matter of fact, it shortened his performance the next week, 4 carries for 3 yards, and then left the game against the Raiders. That's where Rachaad White kind of took over. But, if you look, he had 19 carries in the season finale against the Saints, 20 against the Panthers the week prior, 16 against the Cowboys, 15 for 117 yards, coming back from that Raiders game out there in LA, playing against the Chargers. So if you add it all up, I think carries wise, and carries are probably more important measurement than touches, because in touches, that's a reception. That could be a swing pass out to the back, and you can run out of bounds, right? The carries is where you're going to get tackled by a defensive lineman or a linebacker or multiple defenders, whatever. So I think you don't want that number to be maybe an average of more than 18 per game, just because of his size. He's not a guy that's going to be built for 20, 24, 25 carries a game. Right. But I think inching it up from probably his average was around 12 to 13 touches to somewhere between 16 to 18 is probably what you want.
Yeah, he had averaged 14 touches per game last year. So
I think you take that up to 18.
Yeah. It needs, I think it needs to be closer to 20. Yeah. And then he's going to be productive. But that's where I don't know if you're going to see any Buccaneers like lead the league in any category, because there's too much. I think Josh Grizzard's going to want to spread it out.
Yeah.
Offenses are better and more efficient. It's easy when there's a diversity of weapons, when the defense cannot key on any one guy that's going to beat them. That's when your offenses are at your best. I thought the Bucs did a great job of that last year.
I agree. I totally agree. So Bailey Adams has a bold prediction that is going to make every single Buccaneer fan really, really happy. I mean, this might be the best prediction out of them all, except for one, and we'll get to that in a minute. But Bailey says that, you know what? Remember that not so ready for primetime business last year when the Bucs lost all 4 of their primetime games, and then the 5th one, which was the worst one, was at night against the Commanders at home. Well, Bailey Adams thinks that they're going to boomerang around, and they're actually going to win all of their primetime games next year. And we're talking about games like at Detroit on Monday night. That's going to be a tough one. Giving Matthew Stafford the business out there in L.A. And having to kind of atone in Houston for that terrible game against C.J. Stroud a couple years ago, when Stroud set rookie records with like 5,000 yards passing and 72 touchdowns against Todd Bowles that day. And then he also says, damn it, they're going to win in the creamsicles on Thursday night against the Falcons and on the Amazon creamsicle game. So that would be fantastic. If the Buccaneers do that, not only does it do a couple things, not only does it give them 4 wins, it helps them in the division against the Falcons, right? It helps them in the conference against 2 other playoff caliber teams, and the Lions and the Rams with head-to-head wins. And then I think what it does too, in week 2, that might be the most important game of the season for the Buccaneers. And the reason why I say that is because whatever happens in week 1, either you beat the Falcons and you're 1-0 and you have a chance to go 2-0 in week 2, or if you stub your toe in Atlanta, then you have a chance to right the ship. But more importantly, for this team to kind of end the narrative of, well, they can't win in prime time, right? Well, if you do that in week 2, it ends that narrative. Hey, that was last year. We didn't win in prime time last year, but damn it, we went into Houston and we beat the Texans in week 2 on Monday Night Football. Yeah, we can play in prime time and we can win, because if not, then the narrative is, well, now they've lost 6 games in a row in prime time, right? And then it starts to become something that weighs on this team a little bit. It becomes a media narrative. So each one of these primetime games, all 4 of them, are very important for very different reasons. But that AFC matchup against the Texans in week 2, that's a biggie, JP.
Well, you said Bailey made this prediction?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Bailey needs to share some of the drugs. Just to let you know, Bailey. Don't hog them all. When you're doing shrooms and making predictions, pass them around. No way. There's no way you're going undefeated in prime time. No, so they're going to listen. I agree with you. They need to beat the Texans, absolutely. But then they're going to beat the Lions in prime time.
Well, they beat them in week 2 in Detroit last year.
So they're going to go on the road to Detroit, on the road to the Rams.
That's going to be
beat them in prime time, and then beat the Falcons in the creamsicles.
That
come on, dog.
Be a Herculean.
Come on, Bailey, dog.
Right there.
That is not happening. That is as optimistic as I am with this team. You have everything going against you: the primetime curse and the creamsicle curse, and some really good teams
whammy.
on the road. Yeah.
All right. So
bananas.
Right. And I'm not going to hold you to it. This is still early. We haven't seen this team put any pads on yet in camp. They haven't played a preseason game. But just right now, out of those 4 games, what do you think the record would be, and which one or two?
2-2.
2-2.
I say I beat the Texans, lose to the Lions and the Rams on the road, and then beat the Falcons at home.
Okay, so they do win the creamsicle game. There you go.
At some point, they got to win the creamsicle game.
Yeah,
but I'll be honest with you. If I'm a betting man, I say we're 1-3 in those games because of the creamsicles.
Yeah,
I'm not until they winning the creamsicles.
Yeah,
I'm not going to pick them.
You know what? They're technically not the creamsicles because they're like the all white throwback uniforms.
Is that what they're wearing? They're going to wear the all white ones?
I think they're going to do that for either the Jets game at home or that Seahawks game on the road, because the Bucs and Seahawks came into the league.
But then they're definitely going to win where the orange creamsicles.
I think they're saving the orange tops and the white bottoms for the game in week 17.
But they might do another one
or week 15.
Yeah, I love those. I love the all whites with the creamsicle trim. Those are sweet.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I think because on Buccaneers.com, they had what looked like Steve Spurrier walking into an office that had HBC, which is head ball coach. This is what Steve Spurrier called himself. Mm-hmm. And of course, he was the Bucs' first quarterback of all time back in 1976. Yeah. Had the dubious distinction of not getting a win in the inaugural season. But I believe
we weren't very good.
Yeah.
We weren't very good.
Yeah. But I believe that they're going to not just wear the white on white with the Bucco Bruce, but also have a have the old orange numbers rather than the red numbers, but they wore the orange numbers in 1976. So,
crisp. Love those.
Yeah.
Love those. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Bailey. Can't go along with that, Bill. Love you. Share the drunk.
Yeah. As Bud Cannibalist says here, week 15 will be historic. I love the name. Yeah. Yeah. Week 15 will be historic. It will be historic because the last time the Buccaneers were in prime time wearing their old uniforms, I think was 1995. And I want to say it was the Rams game. No, it was a Packers game, 1995 Packers game on Sunday Night Football in Tampa, I believe. Because in 1996, the only primetime game the Bucs had, this was the last year of the creamsicles, Tony Dungy's first year. Last time they wore them as their regular uniform. They had a Sunday night game, but it was in Denver, week 3 against John Elway and the Broncos. And they actually almost beat them. Donnie Abraham got his first career interception against John Elway.
Oh, nice.
On Sunday Night Football. But they weren't wearing the creamsicles. They were wearing the orange pants with the white tops. So it's been a long time, 30 years, since the Buccaneers have worn the creamsicles at night. Because all the other creamsicle throwback games they've had have been during the day.
Well, maybe it's a little less impactful, the creamy goodness. I think there's something psychological about the color. You know that's a thing, right? Like certain colors evoke certain emotions in people. Yeah. And just I think the creamsicle just emotes a very docile, Bud Cannibalist type of feel.
It's very chill.
You know what I'm saying? Very chill. Yeah. It's like and you just can't play a violent game in a creamsicle uniform. And that's just the fact that the year we go away from them, 97, starts a run of incredible success after just such absolute mediocrity for so long. Yeah. It is absolutely an empirical fact that we cannot win in these freaking uniforms, but yet we still have to go out there and wear them. And I never heard it come out of his mouth. Yeah. But actions speak louder than words. Tom Brady never wore a creamsicle.
That's right.
And never would.
Yeah.
Because he knows.
Wouldn't it be interesting if the Buccaneers made it to the Super Bowl and they opted to break out the creamsicles? I don't know if the league would allow them to do that.
He wouldn't let them. If he was.
I know, but I'm just saying if this year's Buccaneers did,
Oh, God, boy, I wouldn't let him.
They're asking for trouble if that's the case, right? You're just asking for the L. Yeah.
Maybe we could do it like like they do in hockey where they have warm-up uniforms.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't that be something if they came out like before the game in their creamsicle and just threw everybody for a loop?
Yeah.
And then came out like in the red and pewter.
Get the other team overconfident. Oh my God, they're wearing the creamsicle.
Kind of lull them to sleep a little bit.
Yes. A great idea. Great idea.
Okay. Let's see. Adam Slavon, who will be on the show tomorrow.
Okay.
He believes the Bucs defense returns to being a top 10 unit. That's right. There was a time when Todd Bowles and his defense, they were really good. It wasn't last year, but they were pretty good. Go back to that Super Bowl year, right? And as you mentioned, JP, they put a lot of ingredients into this mix this year. They've got 2 more pass rushers, 1 through the draft, 1 through free agency. They've added a couple ball hawks in the secondary. I think Servassier Dennis is going to be an upgrade over KJ Britt. Anthony Walker and Deion Jones are going to be an upgrade over JJ Russell and Vi Jones as the backup linebackers. So there's more depth, more talent. If they can just stay healthy, I think this defense has a chance to be a top 10 unit. I really do. And they're supposed to. This is a secret. Don't tell anybody, but they're supposed to play tighter coverage this year.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And they're actually going to do what their coach says.
No more cushion.
No more cushion. Yeah. I love that. The Buccaneers were 18th last year in total defense, 29th in pass defense, as we know.
Yeah.
So is it a huge stretch for them to get into the top 10? No, it's not. No, I don't think it's huge. The bold prediction would be, are they going to be a top 5 to 7 defense? And I think, call me crazy, but I see all the ingredients for this team to be really, really good defensively.
Yeah.
I just think they really underachieved last year in that department. So I think they a little bit of a regression to the mean, and then they just get better for the people that they added. Now, and we still haven't got a definitive. Is Todd going to call the plays or not?
He's going to call the plays.
He's definitely going to call the plays. He's going to call the plays.
Yes.
Okay. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I want it. But if you tweak the defense, which apparently they're doing, they're bringing, and I think this whole safeties, corners meeting together.
I love it.
I mean, Jesus, it's about time. I mean, how many miscommunication things are we going to have? At least that's the excuse. Right. If that's the excuse, then for God's sake, let's get them all in the same room so we can stop miscommunicating.
I agree.
I mean, that just makes sense.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. So let's get everybody together and maybe we can communicate better. It's shocking development. And I think there's also going to be a bit of from a concept point of view. Yes. I think you're going to see Todd Bowles lean more on the talent of this defense and less on the scheme of this defense.
Yeah.
I think there are certain coordinators that they want to coordinate everything. They want to trick you. They want to trick every offense, and they're going to be the star.
Right.
They're going to be the star. And I'm not saying Todd's an ego guy because he's not.
Yeah.
But they want to, and I think that's kind of the way he evolved this defense early on in Arizona. He didn't have a lot of good players.
Right.
He had to trick them. He had to come up with certain concepts to disguise defense. He had to trick a lot of people. But when you have good personnel, when you have really good players, to me, it's a better concept to simplify and let your players win.
That's right.
Let them. Here's what you're doing. Now go win. Don't worry about, okay, if this happens, that happens. If this happens, you're going to do this.
Then you're thinking too much, right?
And how many times have we heard these defensive players talk about, we missed communication, we broke a coverage, we're thinking too much, blah, blah, blah. Let them go F and play.
Right.
Because you got some really good talent on defense now. I think they got more speed, more talent, more experience. Adding Hassan Reddick, I just think is tremendous, and I think he's going to have a huge year. So I think just conceptually, I think Bowles has probably listened to some of his other staff members and said, let's let these guys go play, and the players too. I know the players would like that. They'd like to just go play more than the thinking and all the other different checks that they have to do.
Right. So just to run down the tally here, you're co-signing with me. Bucs are going to at least double the interception total.
Yes.
Nat Matera, Bucky Irving, top 3 runner, Pro Bowl.
Top 3 is a hard one to crack. I think he can sniff it.
He can sneak in as an NFC running back in the Pro Bowl, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Okay. No question about it. No question. He's top 3. He's the top 3 running back in the NFC. Okay. Absolutely.
Right. And then we feel like Bailey might be under the influence.
Yes, Bailey's high. Bailey's high. High Bailey
on the primetime games.
Yes, right? Absolutely, 100%.
And then you and I are both in agreement on this one. We do think that that this Todd Bowles defense can be a top 10 unit this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how this team progresses from 10 wins to 11, but possibly 12, and maybe even on the outside 13.
Right.
I think this team is that good. Great culture, really good talent. Leadership, I think, picked up with Hassan Reddick defensively. So I think all the ingredients are there for them to make that kind of, and that's not a huge jump, but it puts you in kind of the elite status.
I think
get out of the 8, 9, 10 win season where you're making the playoffs. You're still kind of you're meh, as the kids say. 11 to 12, now you're legit championship contender.
I agree. If you're looking for legit championship caliber financial advice, well, there's one place to turn. It's a place that I go to, which is Muni Financial.
At Muni Financial, we help you live in the now.
Dude, congratulations. We're so happy for you.
Thank you. And even though the now may feel very different, you still need to plan for the future.
How's retirement treating you?
Oh, just fantastic.
I know I say it all the time, but you really got to come up to Colorado.
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
We can help you develop that plan to keep you on track so you can still prepare for tomorrow today. Muni Financial. Plan ahead, stay ahead.
All right, here's what I want you to do, Pewter people. Give Muni Financial a call, because even if you're working with a brokerage agent, maybe you already have your financial person that you lean on for investment advice and retirement planning and all that. Well, treat it like you're going to the doctor and you want a second opinion, because your money is your future in terms of your retirement, or maybe it's the college savings accounts for your kids that you're going to need. And what better way to make sure that you're having the best sound advice than getting that second opinion? So if you already have a financial planner, get that second opinion with Muni Financial. Give them a call at 1-800-868-6864 or visit them on the web at muni.com. If you don't have a 401k, if you don't have any investments or college savings accounts for the kids, or insurance, well, then go ahead and give Muni a call, because you're going to need that. That's part of being a responsible adult. And the folks over there at Muni will take great care of you, not just here in the Tampa Bay area or across the state of Florida. They can serve you across the country. So please give them a call. I've got a lot of my financial investments with Muni Financial, and they will take great care of you. Make sure you talk to Mark or David, any of the guys over there. They're fantastic to work with. Again, Muni Financial, 1-800-868-6864, or give them a visit on the web at muni.com. All right, JP, we've got a couple more to get to, including a really big one here. And then we're going to dive into some of your bold Bucs takes, because you got some bold ones too, my friend.
I do, indeed.
This might be the boldest of them all. We're not saving this one for last, because we got to get this out of the way.
More than Bailey's? Okay.
Yes. All right. Our own Josh Capo says the Bucs are going all the way to the Super Bowl, and they're going to win it.
Wow, that is bold.
He is predicting,
that is bold.
He is predicting that Todd Bowles and Jason Light are going to win the third Super Bowl in franchise history. They're going to win the whole damn thing this year. And the one thing I'll say about this is, when Tom Brady arrived in 2020, I didn't think that they were going to win the Super Bowl that year. I said, with COVID and not having a training camp, well, they had training camp, but not having a preseason, it's going to take the Buccaneers a while to kind of get all on the same page in 2020. That 2021 is actually going to be the Super Bowl year for the Buccaneers. And you know what? It should have been. If you had Chris Godwin, if you had Tristan Wirfs in the playoffs against the Rams, they beat the Rams, they go on, they win the NFC, they beat the Bengals, and they do have another Lombardi. And that season, the 2021 season would have been the best Buccaneer season of all time from a win standpoint and from a championship standpoint. It didn't happen because of those injuries, I believe, and the Rams just had a day. But Josh Capo thinks that, and kind of like me, if you were to say, "Hey Scott, when do you think the Bucs win the Super Bowl?" I would probably say 2026 feels better. Can they win it this year? Yes, I think they can, but that would almost be like a little bit of like surprise, like it was in 2020, where I'm forecasting it to be 2021. They actually win it a year early.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that happening this year because I think that 2026 is going to be that kind of sweet spot for Tampa Bay. But you know what?
Have Mike Evans.
I wouldn't put it past Tampa Bay to win it this year, though.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what difference in the rosters will you have in 26, and I think the only one major factor would be, do you have Mike Evans in 26?
Yeah.
And I think it's a very good chance that he signs another 2-year deal. Very good chance of that happening. So I think they would, especially if they have a good year this year and he stays healthy and he's productive. Why wouldn't he come back with this group?
Yeah,
absolutely. So I think that, I would tend to agree with you that if I had to bet on one year or another, I'd say we'd be better in 26. But this roster is plenty good enough to win a world championship. No question about it.
Yep.
You know, and to me, you got it when you talk about Super Bowl. I say this all the time. I think there's 8 to 9 teams every year that can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Then you have to have the health, which you've detailed many times. Is the 2 years we've won it, we've been as healthy as anybody. Our 2 healthiest seasons. You got to have health, number one, and then you got to get the bounces that go your way. You know, those crazy plays, those Scotty Miller at the end of the half type plays,
right.
You know, Rondé Barber, you know, pick six, those crazy kind of plays that just define the season, define the postseason or what have you. The ball has to go your way. You got to get some calls that go your way, all that stuff, right? Of those 8 teams, it has to kind of work out that way.
Yeah.
They're in the mix, no question about it. And I think they'll be in the mix I think their window is at least 2 years, right? At least 2 years.
I agree.
And so we'll see what happens, but God, isn't it fun? And you have to have a quarterback. You got to have a quarterback that you have confidence in that can come back and win you games in the fourth quarter. Is that guy? Like you never, like Jameis was always like, no, he can bring us back, but he can also take us out.
Right.
Like it's flip a freaking point.
He kept both teams in the game.
Yeah, always, every game. You know, and then think of other quarterbacks that you really felt like, boy, in 2 minutes, this guy's going to get it done.
Right.
They're not that many. Really,
right.
There's not that many. And Baker's one of those guys that you definitely feel can get it done. And more than that, the guys have confidence in him that he will get the job done. And that to me is a culture changer. It's what you had with Brady. It's what you have. It's like you never feel like you're out of a game when you got a guy like that. And I think Baker's proven he's that guy. So I think it's all there for you.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So Josh is less high than Bailey.
There we go. Well, we are high on our Pewter Platinum members here at Pewter Report TV. Scott Federico, Rachel Gordon, Noah Parr, Scotty J, Dave Anderson, Hezo813, Ash Fishpool, Joel Elrican, Sam, John Dale Morris, Zap Brannigan, RP89, Eric McMillan, Connor For Reals, Kevin Thomas, Mario Thomas, Zach Jarvis, Leighton Carter, The Guy is Gifted, and Brandon Riley. Thank you so much for being Pewter Platinum members here at Pewter Report TV on our Pewter Report podcast. We greatly appreciate it. And if you want to join the fun too, you can do that by becoming a Pewter Report's TV channel member. That's the best way you can show your support for us, and we greatly appreciate that. All of the revenue we get from our YouTube channel goes right towards our travel budget. We're going to be attending some Bucs games this year. We go to places like Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl, Indianapolis for the NFL Scouting Combine, West Palm for the NFL annual meeting. Next year it'll be in Arizona. So all we do is take the money you give us, we go travel, we report on the Buccaneer news, bring it right back to you with all of the insight. And so it's just a great way for you guys to help us help you. And
I like that concept.
Yeah, there's several ways you can become a Pewter Report TV channel member, and you can become a Pewter People member for $3.99, a Pewter Pro member for $6.99, a Pewter Premier member for $9.99, or a Pewter Platinum member for $24.99. Different levels get different perks. We had an annual Platinum member meetup in Tampa back in June where Mike Greenberg attended, the Bucs assistant general manager. Zion McCollum was there, the Bucs cornerback. It was great to meet a lot of our Pewter Platinum members, plus you get some free merch. So please consider subscribing. This could be a super season, and we're dedicated to the Buccaneer coverage. We'd love for you to be dedicated to us, and we greatly appreciate your support, whether you are a Pewter Report TV channel member or not. But we do greatly appreciate all of our channel members. And last but not least, you can help your business score new customers by advertising with us here at Pewter Report, whether it's our podcast, our high-traffic website, or our social media channels, which have over 110,000 combined followers. You can email me at sr@pewterreport.com for sponsorship opportunities. I'm happy to have a conversation with you, but it's a great way to get your business exposed to a huge, rabid audience of Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans, and we greatly appreciate all of our sponsors' support and greatly appreciate your support too. And all right, JP, the time has come. We are ready for your bold predictions.
All right. We'll go through them kind of quick. I had a couple.
Go through your bold takes here.
All right. Number one, Benjamin Morrison, do not call me Ben,
right,
and Jacob Parrish will combine for more picks than the starting corners, Zion and Jamel Dean. How about that?
I like that. I could see that happening too. I mean, Benjamin Morrison was a guy in his first 2 seasons, had 9 interceptions, including 6 as a freshman. I mean, just coming out of high school, high football IQ, 6 interceptions that season, had 9 in 2 years. Jacob Parrish, I watched every single K-State game he was in. What I like about Parrish is kind of the same thing about Morrison. Smart, heady, football IQ guy. Started as a true freshman at Kansas State, had 4 interceptions in his second year, had 1 last year because teams didn't throw his way.
Right.
Both of these guys are ball hawks. Todd Bowles wanted ball hawks, and damn it, JP, he got it.
Yeah, and I think they're going to get some playing time too. I mean, one of the Zion and especially Jamel, they're going to miss games. Yeah. They're going to miss games, and just in it's different packages. I think they're going to be out there a lot. I think the coaches have talked highly of both of these guys, and I think they have their trust already. Of course, they're going to have to get in games and prove it, obviously, but I think signs point towards the fact that these two guys, and I think, what's the number? Maybe 3, 3 or 4. Yeah. And I think that would probably be more than, and I love Zion, but it just, the numbers are the numbers. They just haven't been able to get picked. So, All right.
Before we get to your others, we have a couple super chats that I want to get to real quick here, and then we'll keep everyone in suspense what your other bold takes are. The first one here comes from Bolem Seba, $1.99 super chat. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Please forgive me if I didn't. Where do you put the Bucs secondary among other teams? That's a really hard one to kind of parse, JP, because we're not exactly sure who's going to start.
Yeah. And where are they going to play?
Yeah.
How different is this scheme? That's a tough one. It really is. Yeah. I think they've got elements, and just the fact that they're changing things, dramatically, is a plus. And when you're 29th, you should change things dramatically, absolutely, because I think their talent is better than 29th. I really do. So, that is a time we're gonna have to something we rarely do, my friend, and that's kind of punt on a question. But to be responsible, it's TBA. We got to wait and see.
Yep. Training camp will say a lot. The preseason games will also say a lot as well. Meets McGee with the $2 super chat. Thank you for becoming a Pewter Report TV channel member. Ding, ding, round 2. Dean plays too far off. Go. So that's his bold take, I guess. Listen, if Jamel Dean does that, you will be seeing a lot of Benjamin Morrison. A lot pretty quickly, and if that's the case.
Yeah, I agree. No more of that shenanigans.
Yeah. Meets McGee also with the $2 super chat says the pass rush will benefit from a tighter coverage. And I agree with that. I think the pass rush is key. And JP, that kind of leads
us. Vice versa.
Yeah, that leads us into your second bold take.
Servassier Dennis will have a pick 6.
Woo!
I feel like we should be doing the Karnak with this, with an envelope.
Right.
Blowing in the envelope. Servassier Dennis. Yeah. We'll have a pick 6 for all of you too young to know. Go look up Karnak the Magnificent on YouTube.
Yeah, Johnny Carson.
It's fantastic. That's right.
Yep.
Johnny Carson.
Hey-o.
Hey-o. And the great Ed McMahon.
That's right. One of the best setup men there was.
Oh, my God. Drunk every day. Anyway, Servassier Dennis will have a pick 6.
You know what? He does it in practice, JP.
All the time.
He does it in practice all the time. Doesn't Todd Bowles say, we need to take what happens in practice over the game day, right? Like, and then
who's the last linebacker to have a pick six?
Probably Levante.
I'm trying to remember it though. Was there one last year?
JJ Russell had one, but it was a blocked punt for a touchdown.
Okay, yeah.
But he was a linebacker.
Somebody picked one last year. I got to go back and look, or maybe in the last 2 years.
Well,
but anyway, Servatier.
There was one in the preseason. I want to say JJ Russell had one in the preseason.
I think
last year or the year prior. Yeah,
I think you're correct. I think you're correct.
Yeah.
I'm very high on this young man. I think I went back and watched that Detroit game from earlier, and he was all over the freaking field. He's just so good. His instincts are so good. I'm excited to see how good this defense could be if he can stay healthy.
I know.
If he can stay healthy. And I think the two backups, and you've mentioned this many times too, Anthony Walker and Deion Jones are they're just so much better than Britt and JJ, and great guys, but this whole linebacker crew is just so much better. It's a huge upgrade.
Yeah. As Rolf Steinbauer says, again, Pewter Report TV channel member, thank you very much. Spoiler, Dennis will be the best defensive player. I'll tell you what, the funny thing is when I was chatting with some of my contacts over there, and this was, I think, 2 weeks after, this was after the Ravens game. Matter of fact, yeah, it was after the Ravens game. So a couple weeks after Servatier Dennis was out, and I sent a text over to One Buck Place, and I said, who knew that Servatier Dennis's injury would be as devastating as it has been? And all I got back from the source was like the raised hand emoji, like me, I knew. And with every single week, you could just see like how they were missing this guy. And you watched that Lions game in week 2, JP. We were talking about that on your show today. He was all over the field. Servatier Dennis had 11 tackles. He actually out-tackled KJ Britt in that game and outperformed him.
Yeah, and he's a tackling machine. He just and guys like that, that's just what they are on the field. Yeah. When you see those numbers pile up in college, those guys are just typically it's a talent to find the ball and bring a guy to the ground, and I think it's underrated, to be quite honest. We don't talk enough about tackles because that is the actual, focus of defense is tackling somebody to the ground. It's one of the great, stats Rondé Barber has in his 16 years.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was credited with 1,258 tackles, but he actually, on coach's film, he had closer to 1,600 tackles. Yeah. I think Deion had 200 in his career. Right. He had 1,600 tackles. It's just an insane amount. But Servatier is that guy. He gets to the ball and he brings people down. Sometimes it's with a thump, but I don't care about that. Get the guy on the freaking ground. That's make it 3rd and 7, please.
Yeah. All right. So Michael LaRue, this is going to bring me to your next bold take here, JP. Michael LaRue says, Yaya, Nelson, Braswell, and Reddick, this is back when Reddick was a Jet last year, had a combined 11 sacks last year. Jeez. How many will they have this year? Well, that leads me to your bold take about one Hassan Reddick, JP.
I believe that he will have 15 sacks.
Wow.
15 sacks. I don't know about you, but when we got in there for the OTAs and they started off in the in where these pictures are coming from, when they started off in the indoor practice facility, they had their starting 4 lined up over there, and we giddy reporters ran over there and took some video, and I'm ooh, look at that. Hassan 5, then they had the big 5-0 in Vita Vea, and then you had Cansey 94, and then you had Diaby There's a lot of 5-0 in there. There's a nickname there somewhere. There it is. And then Big Dez walked up.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Big Dez waddled up
and
became part of the crew. And I'm like, damn. And then Logan Hall, too.
That's right.
Logan Hall, boy, he had one
contract year.
Yeah. He had one hell of a season, last year. And it was especially late in the year. He became a major factor. And for some guys, there it is. Yeah. It just takes a little time for the light to come on, or, a kick in the ass and, hey, your NFL career is kind of in the balance here. Yeah. You better pick it up. And to his credit, he did last year. And I expect some nice things from him this year.
He's got every motivation to do it. He's in a contract year. he and I have talked that Washington game. He had 7 tackles in that game.
He was
that
all
was
over
his
the
best
field.
game, right?
Yeah.
And then he's shown he can get sacks in bunches. Granted, I mean, all right, he had 2 sacks against Kirk Cousins, right, at the statue that also played quarterback for the Falcons, and then 2 against a banged up Justin Herbert out there with the Chargers. But yeah, I like him as a pass rush guy on first and second down, because he's not going to be on the field on third down, which is typically where you would get most sacks. It's going to be these 4 right here: Vita and Kalijah and Yahya and Hassan. Those are going to be the 4 guys out there more often than not on those designated passing downs, third down, third and long, second and long, right? This is the units you're going to have in there. But yeah, for Logan Hall to not have nearly as many pass rush ops as some of these other defensive linemen, and for 5.5, yeah, like I'll take that all day long.
But to get back to Reddick, I just think, and if I'm not mistaken, he's going to be rushing alongside Vita Vea most of the time. But it's kind of positionless. They're going to move everybody around.
He's going to be on the left side, and he prefers the left side because he's facing the quarterback, and he's going to use his speed against right tackles who are typically a little bit less athletic than the left tackles. And I think that's going to free up Diaby. Diaby's not going to have the tight end to deal with. He's going to have to beat left tackles one-on-one, but he'll have the opportunity.
Who's getting doubled more often?
Hassan will.
You think?
I think so. It's just with his pedigree. I mean, that's to me, and also teams are more right-handed, so you're going to have the tight end on that right side to run the ball.
By the way, they have to double Vita. You cannot.
You better.
Vita. Yeah, you cannot single. Well, hopefully they don't. He's just going to walk right in.
Exactly.
He cannot be blocked man to man. He just can't.
Right.
So whoever rushes next to him, I think is going to have a lot of opportunity, and they'll run a lot of games. Yeah. Into they run those when you run a twist with Vita. Yeah. He literally takes out the 2 guys, and typically an offensive lineman's going to try to slide over and get to whoever's coming through the middle, which would be Hassan Reddick. That's right. With Reddick's speed and the girth of Vita Vea, it's too hard for you to get there. You can't get there. Yeah. Hassan Reddick is too fast. If Vita's moving you out of the way, he moves you back 2 steps, you're done.
That's right.
And that's going to that combination right there is going to be lethal. So
it is.
I think Diaby, I think will have opportunities.
I think he's going to get a lot of cleanup sacks. He really is.
He could get that, but he's one of the things Diaby has to work on is getting the guy to the ground.
That's right.
And Reddick already has that technique.
Yeah.
He knows how to get it's one thing to get to the quarterback. It's another thing to get him on the ground.
That's right.
Because usually when you get there, you're a little bit off platform because you're getting, mauled by a tackle. Yep. You got to figure out how to get in position to actually bring the guy down.
Yep.
And, that's something that Hassan has perfected, obviously, with his years in the league.
Yeah.
So I think he'll get more. But, to your point, Diaby's probably going to get singled up more than Reddick. I would agree with you.
And he'll get those cleanup sacks too, because he's going to be playing the blind side of the quarterback. And I think that he's going to, if you're a quarterback and you see Hassan Reddick rushing at you and he's beating the tackle and he's coming at you, you're going to turn around and I think, Diaby will be there. And that's what you want.
Into his waiting arms.
Exactly. Well, speaking of into the waiting arms, we saw a rookie wide receiver have 8 touchdowns last year, Jalen McMillan. And that was pretty special, especially down the stretch there. But you think there's going to be someone even more special this year?
I think Ibuka will have more receptions and touchdowns than J-Mac.
Okay.
That's a bold prediction because J-Mac had 8 last year.
I know.
And really came on at the end of the year. I just think Ibuka, when it comes down to the last 8-9 games of the season, I think by that point, the brain trust will say, if I'm going to put J-Mac out there or Ibuka, it's going to be Ibuka. Because J-Mac was slow to catch on last year. And he's put on a little bit of weight this year, but I still think he's not as physical as he needs to be.
Yeah.
And I think Ibuka's already there. I think he's already a polished,
he's
physical
Chris Godwin 2.0
receiver.
Really,
and I just think, and this is more of Ibuka's really good than J-Mac's not.
Yeah. Right.
I just think Ibuka's going to supplant him. And that's a good problem to have because listen, all 4 of these guys aren't going to be healthy all year long. I mean, you're already starting off with Godwin, probably won't answer the bell for the. I never like to count him out because he's Chris freaking Godwin. He's a superhero,
right?
So, but
it wouldn't surprise us if he's not ready for week one.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. So maybe he becomes a little bit more mortal in his old age. Exactly. So I just think Ibuka's that good, and I think he's going to supplant J Mac as the third option.
Yeah. Well,
so we'll see.
He kind of should, right? He's the first round pick. He wasn't a third round pick, so just based on draft pedigree, he kind of should be.
Yeah.
All right. So we appreciate your bold takes there. I think they fit in very nicely with our other Pewter reporters. Bold takes. We have a couple of different bold takes. These are in the form of questions, and I'll get your thoughts on these as we wrap up the show. JP, Stephen McBride, chances for TJ Watt to land here. So there's TJ Watt, and then Troy says, is there anything we can do to save the defensive end from Cincinnati? Of course, Trey Hendrickson, who he's talking about, and bring him here. I think what he's saying is Trey Hendrickson. It might be Shamar Stewart, the first round pick. The Bucs don't want him. They did not want him. He had like 4.5 sacks at Texas A&M, and he's a turd for hanging out, for holding out, I should say. He's a first round pick. Like sign your rookie contract and play. So yeah, I think what he's saying is Trey Hendrickson and TJ Watt. The problem is both these guys are like 31, and they're going to want way more money than Hassan Reddick got. We're talking probably upwards of $30 to $40 million per season, and that's not a great investment.
Had they not signed Reddick, I think there'd be an opportunity here.
Right.
But the fact that they did, and do they have the money? Could they find the money? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But then where does the guy you're gonna put Reddick on the bench? You're gonna put Yaya on the bench? Yeah. If you're gonna sign a guy, you better have a pretty clear opening if you're gonna spend $35 million a year. Yeah. And plus it's a bit of a risk with the age of these guys. Yeah. So I don't see it happening.
Yeah. Usually right around the early 30s, that's where the edge rushers fall off a cliff. Yep. Look what happened to Shaq Barrett, right?
Inside guys as well. Yeah. Defensive linemen after about year 8.
In 2006, done, right? Go from being a double-digit guy to the next year, the wheels fall off the wagon. So if both or one of these guys was 27, 28, right? Because Jason Pierre-Paul is another one, right? The Buccaneers traded for him. He was 28 years old, right? Helps them win a Super Bowl at age 31, I believe. And then by 32, he was done. Right, he just got injured. They just drafted Joe Tryon-Shoyinka the first round in 2021, and he ended up playing a lot for Jason Pierre-Paul in that 2021 season because he was injured. Right, so that's what happens sometimes with these edge rushers. They just, whether it's 31, 32, 33, whatever, they're not Tom Brady where they can play in their 40s. They just can't. Even though Simeon Rice looks like he can still play.
Exactly. So yeah, I think it's too late for that to happen right now, and I think the Bucs are real happy with what they got moving forward.
Yeah,
and they still they need that money to sign Gedeke and
probably K-Dot and probably
K-Dot. Yeah. Those two.
Yeah. We have one final question here from Nathan Elliott. Has there been any updates regarding the 2026 Buccaneer fan cruise? Not
Nathan loves that cruise, man.
He does. I went on it this year and saw Nathan and so many great
how was it? Was it good?
It was fantastic. It was great.
Yeah. What cruise line is that?
It was on Celebrity last year.
Celebrity?
Which was really, really good. My first experience on Celebrity, it was a fantastic cruise. So nothing on there just yet. I'll call the wonderful ladies over at Buck Fan Tours and see if or the Buccaneers cruise and see if they've heard anything. And if they have, I'll let y'all know, because it was a fun time for all. It's more fun when you become a Pewter Report subscriber. You can go to our social media and go over to YouTube, Pewter Report TV, hit the subscribe button and join us. We're almost at 20,000 subscribers, which is great. You can also follow us at X, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report. Don't forget to visit pewterreport.com. Every day we have content all summer long. We're going to be diving into my top 50 Buccaneers here pretty shortly. So stay tuned for that. Also stay tuned for tomorrow's episode at 4 o'clock. Can the Bucs defense be deadly again? They were deadly. They were. If you went back and watched the Super Bowl, they were pretty deadly. Just ask Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, can they get there? Can they rebuild a new Gravediggers Secondary 2.0. Can the pass rush of JPP and Shaq Barrett kind of be reincarnated in the form of Hassan Reddick and Yaya Diaby? Well, we'll tackle those topics tomorrow at 4:00 here on Pewter Report TV on our Pewter Report podcast. So for JP Peterson, our guest today, thank you so much for joining us. Greatly appreciate that. JP,
always a great time to talk Bucs with you, my friend.
Tell everybody where they can find you and get all
the JP Peterson show every Monday through Friday from 10 to 12. We have great guests like Scott Reynolds on all the time. We had Dave Randorf on today, who was tons of fun, Lightning play-by-play man, along with Scott. So we have great guests all the time. We talk Tampa Bay sports almost exclusively for 2 hours each and every morning. You can find us live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter as well, on the X Machine. You can always find us as a podcast on anywhere you get podcasts, Apple and Spotify. So we're there everywhere for you to watch. We are independent media, just like Scott. So please support us as you support him and all of all these great local podcasts that we got. And I'll be doing another one here in just a little bit.
You do great work, man. So greatly appreciate you joining us today.
I love covering all the sports. You guys are the best in Bucs coverage. You do a fantastic job. We try to do the same thing with all the different sports and kind of been leading the way on this Rays story. So
you have.
Hopefully we'll have something new soon, very soon. I'm not going to say his name, but the new guy's coming in soon.
We do have at the last second here, Joella O'Regan, $5 super chat. Thanks for always keeping us informed, Scott and JP.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate that very much. For JP Peterson, I am Scott Reynolds saying we'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast.
See you.
Out.